Previously in X-Men, the team has been sent across the country to beautiful San Francisco by the all-powerful Beyonder. While a shadowy section of the government once used their newly sanctioned superpowered task force to come for Magneto, their sights remain on the X-Men. Without Nightcrawler, their most recent field leader, and without Wolverine, their most experienced combatant and resilient combatant, can the X-Men survive Freedom Force? I think they can. I'm Jason Lapidus.
I'm Chris Sanagan.
And we are a group of 7 comics. Welcome to episode 135 of our ongoing Tuesday night live stream read-through of the X-Men comics that became classic as we read Uncanny X-Men, issue 206 by Chris Claremont, John Romita Jr., and Dan Green, cover date of June 1986. Here we go.
Oh, there's your copy.
Yeah. Did you think I didn't have it?
Do you have the full Romita Jr. run?
I do have. I'm lucky that I have most of the Claremont run. With I'm missing a couple of the early burns,
okay,
and I'm missing like the lead up to Byrne getting there, like those old Cochrams. So other than Giant Size, which I'm really grateful I have, but there's a bunch. Yeah, they're old, and I'm not sure if I'll, maybe one day I'll go back and pick them off 1 year at a time, like once a year go and indulge in a high valued book. But I like, most of my books are copies that I've read at some point. And the ones that I've picked up in recent years are reader copies. Like I don't have any pristine, amazing copies. So at this point I have them all, but like I was buying them off the rack at this point in time in 1986. So my collection is vintage from that moment in time. So I've got this one happily. Let's say hello, of course, to David Cutler. To me, my Exy boys. Right back at you, buddy. Michael says, hello, everyone. And Jason Jose says, hey, guys, hope you're all well. We're really happy to have you here. Of course, it is great that we get to read Uncanny X-Men 206. It's a great issue. Maybe we'll see. We'll come to our own conclusions as we read through this thing. And it's always cool just to see what John Romita Jr. comes up with the tasks he is given. I find, we'll talk about his cover in a minute. But more pressingly or more relevant to the moment, of course, is the passing of artist John Cassaday, who died yesterday, as far as I understand, at the age of 52. And just keeping this within the context of our show and sort of the premise of our show, which is, looking at the X-Men comics that became classic and those connections to, the animated series and the movies and the future of the MCU. Cassaday plays a pretty significant role from my point of view, other than that formative Claremont, John Byrne, and then Jim Lee, sort of legendary team. I don't know about you. Did you get a chance to read these sort of when it was happening at all? In 2004 is when this...
I think I read them. I think I read the first couple of trades soon after, like when they were made available as trades. So
I wonder if I actually loaned you mine.
I think you may.
I think I might have loaned you. I have some oversized hardcovers, but I was getting this off the monthly comic when it was coming out, and I wasn't collecting monthly comics much at the time. In 2004, I was back into getting mostly trades, but I wasn't usually getting too many single issues, and I think the Grant Morrison and Frank Quitely stuff got me reading a friend's trades, and then I kind of wanted to see where it was going to go after that. So after what I guess is known as the New X-Men, or just the Morrison and New X-Men in the early 2000s, but then like this immediately comes after it, and Joss Whedon was riding high from his TV writing positions and movie stuff. So Firefly, and you guys in the chat can remind me of other shows. Was he part of Alias? Was that one of his?
Buffy is his.
Buffy. Okay, well,
Buffy,
so
I think that's a big one. Yeah,
sure. I think Alias is J.J. Abrams. Anyway, I
I
can't
think
remember.
so too. Yeah,
But there was some hype, in comics that there's often been this a little brother syndrome of when people come from either novel writers or TV writers or movie writers. They're often revered before they even you know do a 2 or 3 year run of great comics. So people were pretty excited about us about Whedon coming to do X-Men, and there was obviously we knew there was he was taking that team mostly from the new X-Men series that Morrison had done, that roster, and then bringing Kitty Pryde back because that was like the character he really wanted to do. And it was sort of going to be like a back to basics, obviously back to superhero costumes, which they were not wearing at the time. And all the various X books, they weren't wearing superhero costumes. So it was a return to some of the team dynamics from the Byrne Claremont stuff, and there were some visual cues to that, but it was and of course getting John Cassaday to do art, um, it was beautiful. You can see here this is one of the several covers for issue one. I don't. I think the one that I got was just the claw, the sort of hand with the claws coming out, the fist with the claws. David's saying Whedon was Buffy Firefly Dollhouse. Right. I'm mixing up Dollhouse and Alias. Thank you for that, David. So, he's an amazing artist. It's and he left his mark, right? He like I said, designed those costumes to get them back into suits, and regardless of whether they're your favorite or not, um, there had been 2 or 3 movies out. I guess maybe 2 movies out by this point, right? X-Men 1 and X-Men 2 were already out, and the popular consciousness. Hi, Danielle. The popular consciousness about X-Men was that they are black leather wearing, tactical force. And to see them back in costumes was a really exciting thing for a lot of people who wanted to see them in costumes. And then last point about the design. Jim Lee well, not 2 last points, but the designs. Jim Lee famously unleashed Cyclops' hair from that hooded mask suit. And no, Cassidy put it right back in. Let's paint those locks. Obviously, fans are leaning more towards the Jim Lee costume than this one, but obviously, it does have its graces and it has its advocates too in its fans. But more significantly, it's like Wolverine thing. So Wolverine, up to this point, had never had a costume that was branded X-Men. And there's a few things that are X-Men branded. I mean, like in a regular run of comics, not alternate universe and not a one-off costume or just something he wore for a moment. But the idea of him having the stripes, or the like little claw kind of marks, we'll call them tiger stripes. He's a Wolverine. He's not a tiger, so they're not tiger stripes if they're on a Wolverine. You know what I'm saying? But anyway, the stripes that are there, they're always done or they're usually done in black or blue, and therefore they need to be on the yellow. Cassie throws it on a blue, but then puts the yellow down the middle, like so. It was the first time that someone had kind of incorporated the original Wolverine aesthetic into something that was kind of X-Men on brand. I mean, all the X-Men could wear a version of a suit with sort of that yellow stripe down the middle that Kirby designed way back in '63. So it was really neat to see a version of his costume that could be in the pantheon with the original, with the brown and tan or red and tan. And this was sort of added to that. And then to my point, which suit makes it into Deadpool and Wolverine? It's this one. It's a movie version of this suit that goes in the movie, not the original. I mean, sure, we get, of course, a moment with the brown and tan, but it's a Marvel or an MCU iteration off of this one. And I think it's a pretty amazing legacy, like Cassaday really added to the mass version of X-Men, not just the comics. He added to the pop culture version, which is no small feat. David says Wolverine spent like 15 years in that costume. We've hardly seen Scott's hair since. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Man, where's Scott's hair? I'll tell you where. It's on that guy we met last year at Fan Expo. The Australian. What was he drinking? Mountain Dew?
A Sprite.
Yeah, Sprite. Okay.
A Sprite. It would have been, maybe Mountain Dew would have been better, but it was a Sprite.
Possibly.
But he had his visor up. The best Scott Summers cosplay. I mean, there's a lot of great ones. We've come across some like really great homemade, really fantastic. We saw that one kid was Cyclops and his dad was Magneto. Do you remember that? I think it was about a year ago. Beautiful. But this guy, he just was walking around, chill as anything, visor up, drinking a Sprite. And just ended up talking about how he took that costume to Burning Man.
That's right. That's right. He wore it at Burning Man.
Which is like the story we want. We want to know how that all went down because it lit up, right? When he put it down, it lit up.
Right.
And the best part was, like, because he came over to us and he had it up, we're like, let's get a photo, put it down. And then he did. But we're like, no, put it back up. We actually think it's better. It's better.
The reason, of course, that it was better when it was up was because he had something close to my haircut.
Yeah.
And we couldn't really notice that until yeah, he needed to have a stronger one. If you're gonna wear that Cyclops costume, you're gonna need a stronger one. I'm actually at that part in my photos here. I want to see. I don't know why.
Cyclops at Fan Expo this year, didn't we? Wasn't
know
Cyclops the best bud of Hellboy?
I'm gonna contest this. Okay, hold on. Was Cyclops the best bud of Hellboy?
Well, no,
maybe.
I mean, as they came, they hung out together. We had like the Starbucks lids.
So here he is, and I know you all can't see. Okay, but there you go. That's a pretty good view. But now, take a look, my friend.
Oh, it's a Mountain Dew. It's a Mountain Dew. That's much better than a Sprite. There you go. There you go.
Sorry.
You walked to Burning Man. Burning Man.
Yeah, he was great. He had such a good costume. I love that guy.
And that was like the Friday or the Thursday. It was like the first day. And so like when that happens over a long con, just you get it right in the beginning. It just really sets it up. It's like, this is going to be a good show.
Yes. Chuck says Jason keeps receipts. Yeah, it's a memorable one. I really love that moment. It was a good memory. So I want to keep that one. This cover from Cassaday like blows my mind still. The balls on him to say like, yeah, I'm going to do this in 2 colors. And we need to see that like Cyclops, to identify him as Cyclops, like with obviously the ruby glow from his eyes and like, oh yeah, Emma's just controlling this dude. I think this is one of the most beautifully graphic in terms of graphic design and like narrative stories, narrative covers. To me, this like, it speaks volumes, and it's so bold to have the restraint to not over color it, not to go like, okay, the logo needs to be another color, but no, they're just gonna let the artist do the artist thing, and it works so well. I love it. It's Scott plus Emma forever. Yeah, so good. This one was like the Wolverine solo cover. This was in that era where you could get away with just drawing a character in action on the cover. Just a cool pose. It's not related to the story in any way. Just this is a fun one. And again, the balls to, I'm going to turn them upside down. Like, we're not going to do this the way everyone expects. This comic came also with the action figure, the Marvel Legends from Toy Biz back in the day of this figure. This was the issue that came in the pack. So I have a non-retail version of it that came with that figure. And then, of course, I have the original, but it's crazy. David says, we're in that era again, I think. I don't think that, and listen, I'm no expert on it. It's just sort of the impression I get from what I see when I go to the comic store is that we're not in the height of it anymore. And we might be on things that might have moderated, but obviously companies still do allow artists to just give you a pinup, right? Like the pinup style cover is not my favorite thing in the world until Arthur Adams delivers like this amazing pinup, and I can't say no. I don't care what's happening in the issue. If he draws a great Spider-Man, I just want to have the Arthur Adams Spider-Man. There was a variant cover for Thor #1, I guess maybe about 5 years ago, and Thor is in a particular modern costume, and Arthur Adams just draws classic Kirby Thor, slamming the hammer. I'm like, yeah, that's perfect. So it seems to be with artists that have more pull, maybe get away with just doing pinup covers. When they're great, they're great. All right, who can say no to this? This is amazing. Massimo says, would you say that cover is astonishing? Yes, sir, I would. You ever see this one? I mean, come on.
Yeah.
I like the pinup with narrative in it. That's to me a nice mix. We knew from the last issue that Colossus was coming back. There was like a splash page as he is revealed, and this is the cover of the succeeding issue. But pretty awesome how she's like half phased. Wait, is she partially phased into him?
Yeah. No, I think
I think I always read it like she's
her hair is you can tell by the hair. The hair is,
and her right arm is going through his right wrist and hand, and her left arm is going through his left forearm. Yeah. So it's just, again, these really interesting choices. Very cool, very cool. Great team shot.
Yeah,
so good.
Love how big Colossus is too.
Yeah.
Right.
David says Colossus is ding dong is phasing too. I'm going back. Wait, what? Why did I fall for that? All right.
I saw a nice, when these things tend to happen, there's often pouring out on social media of, people sending their respects. And the one that I came across today I thought was nice was Peach Momoko put out, because her current Ultimate X-Men, main character is Armor, and who makes their debut in this series. And so it's just kind of like a thankful and respect, but also hope that, her Armor is doing his Armor proud, or, that kind of thing back. So it's just nice, it's lovely when artists get a chance to both reach back and show their respect and, but then to continue the evolution and the characters. So.
That's part of a legacy of a person working for something like Marvel or DC or any property, is that the property lives on, the characters live on. They go from being, proprietary to becoming part of pop culture and the culture at large. This way of showing Cyclops gives you the X. Like there's that. But when you have him in different poses, the X doesn't show up. I always thought this with the trim along his suit, it's so subtle. It's close to being one that I really like, but his wrist braces and that piping, I always thought was just a little too subtle for me. I'm glad they're not, he's not wearing the underwear on the outside, so to speak, but it's close. I also was always perplexed by the three different blues and the blue characters here. Beast, Cyclops, and Wolverine all have a different color of blue. And part of my brain wants uniformity, right, with my teams. I like visual cohesion. So Colossus wearing that yellow down the middle, Wolverine wearing the yellow down the middle, Kitty Pryde wearing the yellow down the middle. I'm like, okay, let's keep it going. But it really doesn't work for certain characters. Like Emma Frost would look awful, maybe, if she just has yellow all of a sudden, because she's so classically in any version of something risky and white. Cutler says this is his favorite Cyclops costume. It is a beauty. There's something very sleek about it. And Chuck says, I find it interesting that he uses the original style of visor. Yeah, Cassaday goes back to that narrow, maybe it's Don Heck who maybe first did that version. Maybe it's even Kirby, but it's, that old style visor that he wears before he gets cockermized, if that is a word.
It is.
Again, now. Just bringing it. Oh, and look how cool Cyclops looks when you put him into the all black treatment, as he gets into the shadow. There's some serious Nexus vibes. Chris, do you know Nexus by Baron and Rude? No. Okay. You will see them at some point. Steve Rude is an awesome artist who is like one of the most classical illustrators working in comics over the last 40 years. His figures are so gorgeous and graceful and perfect. And he and is it Mike Barron? Him and Barron created an indie character called Nexus, who is a space executioner. And it's in the theme, or sort of in the style, almost like their version of Space Ghost. So he's flying through space, shoots from his hands, encounters interesting stuff. There are some awesome Nexus comics you should check out. But that reminds me very much of Nexus. Very Racer X, yes. But super cool. And then that's the last one I brought in. I just wanted to have, look at a few, because he does, I think, about 24 or 25 issues. But we could spend all night talking about John Cassaday and his work on X-Men. But it like I said, it really impacted me at the time, getting me to go back and start buying X-Men monthly again. This might be the last time I was actually buying X-Men monthly as well. I don't think I ever returned to it after this run was finished. Sometimes you strike gold, and I think this team did some amazing work that has resonated with fans. Colossus is no more like pointy shoulders; they're like rounded onto his shoulders. I thought that was a great thing too. It looks really, really good. I do have a little small figure of that Colossus suit too. Actually, I think I have this whole team in 3 3/4. But anyway, I digress. They're busy fighting my G.I. Joes. All right. Anyone have any thoughts they want to, or favorite image from Astonishing X-Men with Cassaday back in the day that they want to mention, or any particular? Now is a good time. If you bring it up later, that's okay too. But I won't be able to like insert an image into the show because it's archaic. Anyway, moving on. So X-Men 206 or X-Men Classic 110 maybe. It's right around then. This is the Jay Lee cover. It's busy, maybe again a modern color would really help clarify some of those things, but he's still a really awesome drawer. The Fury of Freedom Force.
That's such a name from that era.
Freedom Force from the 80s?
Yeah.
Well, I think it's also supposed to be some propaganda. Like, I think it's very intentionally meant to be like overtly not commercial, but overtly public, right? Like they are a bunch of criminals who are finally getting to be on the right side of the law within their arrangement.
I feel it seems to fit the specifically, 80s action movie trope type things, that we're aware of. Some that are great that we love, and some that are not so great, but certainly have their fans out there. So
I agree with you.
Yeah.
Thought for you. I'm really, really drawn toward this image, and I'm trying to see if there's a pattern here with Romita Jr. So if we were to say like what his maybe the books where he's regarded to be the best version of himself as a drawer, as a penciler, as the artist. Daredevil, Man Without Fear is the one that he says is his best work.
Okay.
His work on Punisher, it's not War Journal. Either way, he does a Punisher series that he does maybe the first 8 or 9 issues. And it's amazing looking. I think Klaus Janson on inks. His work on Spider-Man is like 3 times. I think he's been on Spidey, and that's some of his best work too. People love that Anacenti run. I don't know if anyone's ever said that his X-Men work was his best work. And I'm going to posit maybe it has to do with solo character versus team. That the workload of composing 5 or 6 characters and devoting enough time to that rendering process doesn't allow him to, because he is so deadline oriented, he has a very measured amount of time allotted to every single page. And I think when he gets to do one character, he throws heat. Like, I want to know everything about what's happening here. I'm completely invested in this version of Storm. That the gesture, like the way she stands, there's so much life in it. The fact that she's 12 heads tall, I think is really striking. That like little tiny head and super long legs, and again those bold choices, like with Cassaday on those covers, the bold choice to just put her in black. That's just, she's a woman of mystery. I want to know everything. I'm completely drawn to this.
How many issues now has it been Storm's powerless? I thought about this as I was reading the issue.
Someone else in the chat can pull the number up, but I think she gets powerless in the 180s.
Wow.
Yeah.
Right?
Right. So it's been a couple years.
And what a... Like, now I reflect on it, and, I mean, to your point, I want to know everything about this, what's going on here. But even just reflecting on that is what a move for an Omega level threat character. Mutant, if we want to go there. To be Omega powerless in the comics. To be
quote unquote powerless.
Quote unquote powerless for 2.5 years.
Yeah, it is remarkable. It's another bold choice. That's probably like maybe one of the best things about the Claremont run, as here I am going back and looking. Storm loses her powers I'm pulling it up like on our videos. Of course, I can't see the actual number because it's before Life Death number 1, and I'm going to 180. I can't even just get this image to 185, around there.
Okay.
Someone else, 185. Jason Jose, thank you.
Yeah. And I agree. Depowered Punk Storm kicks all kinds of. I think it's been great. I mean, reflecting back, and so, like, has anyone else done this? Taken a character and depowered them for this long?
I'm not sure if between Marvel and DC we can think of a character that was depowered for this long. Maybe we will.
It completely brings a whole other element, which I really appreciate for this particular narrative. I just think that, like, when you put it in perspective, it just kind of dawned on me a bit today when I was reading the comic. Like, oh wow, it's been some time.
I would actually love to do sort of a side episode one day where we look at each character and just look at their arc over Claremont. And I mean, we can use Colossus for instance. Okay, and I'm going to bring it up, and maybe again, maybe you'll agree, maybe you'll disagree. But when we start with Colossus, he is like kind of happy-go-lucky, innocent. I wouldn't say clumsy, but he's not the most graceful character either. Yeah. He's definitely naive and believes the best in people. And he is, behind the scenes going to be positioned to be like the savior of the team. It doesn't work out that way. He very quickly becomes a supporting character. And over the run with Claremont, he's obviously had his heart broken. He's gone through near-death experiences. And by this point in Claremont's work with him, Claremont's not doing anything with him anymore. He's just there. He's just there. He's not like, he's kind of run his arc. He's now ready to be a superhero. He knows how to use his powers. He knows who he is as a man. He knows his values. He knows his place in the world. His arc is kind of done, which kind of makes sense that Claremont lets him go in the next few issues. Putting that out there. Sorry, spoilers. But he's gonna be impacted by the Mutant Massacre.
Okay.
He's gonna be impacted by it. We're gonna get a respite away from him as one of the core characters. You look at Wolverine, the arc he goes on, his arc is still going upward. You get careful like Storm, who again comes in all like very naive, powerful, clear sense of right and wrong, and her arc has been really moving, and he's playing a long game with her. It seems that he's still investing in her as a character, and still putting things and creating new threads for her, and then actualizing them over a long period of time. It feels a little bit like Kitty's arc has already happened. She's matured a little bit, and she's no longer sort of that bratty kid. She's had her go through a physical transformation, become a shadow cat as opposed to a sprite. You know, she's had that transformation. I wonder if Claremont has more for her. At least, you know, from the time she's introduced until now, she's done a huge amount of growing. I wonder if she'll do as much in the next 30, 40 issues. Right. Nightcrawler, he's like not even in this issue. Is Claremont done with him? Again, he kind of had his. I wonder if he feels there's more to mine, or if he's lost interest. It feels like he's interested in Storm. He's interested in Rogue. He's clearly interested in Rachel. Right? I'm not sure if he's allowed to not be interested in Wolverine. He's going to stay with Wolverine for a while. So
Cyclops has moved on.
Cyclops has been, you know, he probably had more story to tell personally, but he wasn't. That character was kind of taken away, put on another book with another writer. So I find that kind of interesting that there are these traits. Like, okay, look at Nightcrawler. Just I never really got to the one I wanted to say about him. Remember when he came in and he was part swashbuckler and part, you know, like physically looked like a demon, but the heart of a swashbuckler adventurer, the rogue, you know, like the swinging, the Errol Flynn. The Errol Flynn fun part of him seems to be gone. So that means within the flavor of X-Men, there's room. There's room for a character who is acrobatic and is roguish and is a little debonair, you know, like there's room for that now because it's no longer Nightcrawler. He's become much more somber and reflective. So, you know what I'm saying?
Sure.
Like there's like this chemistry of characters, and whether the traits are inhabited by one person or not is not the important part. It's that the traits are there. You've got your mysterious badass. You've got your roguish charmer. You've got your powerhouse. You've got all these pieces. And sometimes characters slide through the series and they hold on to certain traits, and then they let go of those traits as their arc continues. Like maybe Rogue has taken on Colossus's role.
Some of the powerhouse.
As being the team powerhouse. Who's discovering her inner hero. Like maybe that's done for Colossus. So he needs to turn into something else. I don't know. I'm some thoughts, and you can take that if you like it or throw it away if you don't like it. Chuck says, wasn't that the original characterization of Nightcrawler a Cockrum joint? Like, yeah, that he was that, again, that roguish swashbuckler with charm, with the appearance of a demon. And Byrne and Claremont used that and then played it out. And now he's a much more somber character at the moment, and he's full of doubt at in the series at this moment in time. Nightcrawler was a Cockrum fave. Claremont didn't push the swashbuckler angle. Yeah, he didn't push it enough, but once in a while we get a flair for it, especially while Byrne was there. I think Byrne kind of got that. He liked that Errol Flynn side of him too, especially the way he would sort of tease the guys around the house. I always on the phone upside down and doing acrobatics, and anyway, fun stuff. One last original art piece. This is page 2 of the book we're about to read. That whole wall in the back. Like, just for anyone out there who's watching this who draws and finds ink to be a scary thing, Dan Green inked the shit out of that top panel. Filled that background with something. Maybe all black, maybe rendering similar to what's in the second panel, and then either editorial or Dan thought twice and whited it out. What I'm trying to say is the ink isn't so permanent. You can make changes. I'm hoping that all of us, myself included, we find it liberating to realize that you can use correction fluid. You can use white ink. You can cover up your choices, redraw. Ink is wonderful to work with, and this is production art. It's not meant to be finished art. So play with it and do a Dan Green there, man. White out that background, whatever you need to do. I'd be curious to know how that played, but moving on. Very cool. Yeah, that's the end. So we move out of that and into this. Bum, ba, bum.
So,
Oh, yes.
this is how now been happening to us for about 6 weeks. What is it?
It's you.
But what, though?
You seem to be able to fix it. I'm going to mute my microphone for a moment and take a good gulp of water.
Hold on. Let me stop sharing and try it again. Hold on a second. I don't quite know what's going on. Technical difficulties, please stand by. 206. Okay, did it get up now?
You ready? Let's try.
Yeah, show it.
Beautiful.
You try to turn it off and turn it back on again.
Did
you try to turn it off? Like that's what it was. That's what it was.
All right.
Jeez. Anyway.
Chuck tells you to never stop sharing.
Oh. I'll never stop, buddy.
Yep. I gotta watch that movie again.
I never watched it, actually. Was it fun?
Oh my! Have you listened to the soundtrack? Just like the album, you will laugh so hard every line.
Sure,
and I know you, and I know how you enjoy humor. You like when you hear something you like, you often will say it back.
Sure.
Like you'll like, did you hear him say this? You won't be able to keep up with Sandberg. It is. Listen to next time you have even one chance to hear one song, just put on the album, listen to the first track, make your way through it. You will piss your pants laughing.
I hope I do. That's a nice thought to look forward to.
Yes. All right.
Okay.
Uncanny X-Men 206. Look at that big fat blob. Oh my god.
And in the Fantastic Four, no less.
That orange is awful. This cover is not my favorite.
Neither is
not my favorite.
Nope.
Stanley presents Freedom is a 4-letter word. Okay. Starring the Uncanny X-Men. Just beautiful. Having a good time, boys.
That's right, mama.
What's it to you?
You want to make something of it?
Or maybe join in? I suggest you lay down your weapons while you are still able.
Or what? Tough talk, sweets.
That a threat? We don't respond too well to threats, chica. This is our turf. We do as we please. To whomever we please. You challenge us, babe, you're gonna regret it. Take her! Foolish boys. I warned you.
I do love, by the way, just a second, that second panel where they're all talking tough and brandishing their weapons. How suddenly they've gone from having, typical alley gang weapons like a block of wood and a knife to nunchucks.
Oh yeah, it was the 80s.
Well, this gang is serious. Like I think that guy, even the top panel has a sword. I'm like,
oh yeah.
Wow.
Well, I think it's a baseball bat.
It's a baseball bat.
Like a baton that police use?
Sure. Billy Club type thing?
Billy Club, yeah. The reason I say that is because the way the handle is in that second panel, it looks ribbed for her pleasure. But there's also maybe a bit of shine to it. Even though it's been colored like wood, it feels like it's a Billy Club. But anyway, I mean, nunchucks, the whole thing of like ninja weapons taking over culture is awesome to track. Really, really fun to track. I got to draw this version of Storm, by the way, this week. And it was not something I was expecting to do. And I probably made the wrong choice, but I really love doing it. Anyway, just putting that out there. I warned you. Yeah. Right into the wall and kick up that board.
Yeah, which they should really have seen coming. They were about 6 feet away.
It happens fast. This reads perfectly, though.
She's great.
Like this is to me, this is like where he shines, is when he can do these action storytelling sequences with one hero. It looks fantastic. You have seen what I can do. Are you sure you would rather not reconsider? No, of course not. A waste of breath even to ask. So your copy, that this digital copy you've got there, because of course you're using a scan of the original printed one. If you can go back to the last page for a second.
Of course.
So these are, of course, for those who haven't watched the show before, any newcomers, these are scans of the original comics presented the way they were intended to be read on newsprint. These are not the digital versions of the comics. But if you notice, like the way the color, if you look at that guy at the bottom in the last panel, the black ink is like faded off. It didn't print perfectly clear. It's identical on the copy in my hands.
Okay.
It's faded in the same way. It's so funny to see how it plays like that.
That's so cool.
Yeah. You get like inconsistencies in the ink sometimes. Thank you for indulging. Then you get an awesomely clear kick to the balls.
Oh.
Your kind always has to learn the hard way. Bonk. And then I think it's safe to assume she hits him over the head with that. The 2x4 after kicking him in the balls. It's great. I love that lettering, by the way, on the bonk.
It's good.
Yeah.
It's solid lettering. What?
You're funny. You said police freeze. Yes.
Police
do you
freeze.
Do you want to be this?
Sure.
Her name is Bree, but you want to be Bree Morrell?
Right.
Yeah.
Maxwell, check those civilians.
Lieutenant, ain't this one of?
I recognize the lady, Maxwell. Leave her to me.
Leave it to me, Maxwell. She isn't with the gang, officer. She saved us. Took them on, single-handed. I hope she killed them all.
Rest easy, sir. I'll call for the paramedics. Because, it's New York. You got to have an Irish cop.
It's not New York.
It's San Francisco. You got to have an Irish cop. Toy.
I'm all for it, man. People travel. It's all good.
Nice piece of work. We've been after these chumps for a while.
I was really hoping you would misread it and say chimps.
No.
I was glad to help.
I'm Bree Morrell. I don't care what the world says about mutants, and especially you X-Men. You've proven yourselves to me. I'm glad you're around. I hope you'll stay in New York, San Francisco.
I'm Storm, Lieutenant. And perhaps we shall. She doesn't introduce herself as Lieutenant, by the way. Maxwell calls her a Lieutenant. But when she says, like, I'm Lieutenant Morrell or Morrell, either way.
Yeah.
But it's okay. Chris Claremont is.
Yeah.
I'm just looking over the comments for a second. The cover is so reminiscent of Secret Wars. Yeah. The 80s, the nunchucks were mandatory.
Chucks are mandatory. Good point.
Wang Chung's best record. I've been obsessed, by the way, with a particular Wang Chung song because of John Mulaney.
Okay.
If you ever watched Mulaney's, whatever his LA show, everybody's in LA. He has a Wang Chung song as a theme song, and
it's
took
not
over.
Everybody Wang Chung Tonight.
It isn't. It's called.
That's a different Wang Chung song.
It's called "Live and Die in L.A." And there was just something about the context in which it was used that I'm connected with it, and I've listened to it too many times. But anyway, Jason Jose tells us some background because we didn't get it from the issue or the editors that Lieutenant Morrell is original Spider-Woman's best friend.
Okay.
So we're talking about Jessica Drew.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
1 Yarborough Court, along the crest of Corona Heights, where private investigators Jessica Drew and Lindsay McCabe share a very old, very elegant Queen Anne row house in a neighborhood that's reputed to be well and truly haunted.
Okay.
I like how in Marvel Comics there are multiple sets of female private investigator teams.
Oh yeah,
Like
no, for
there's
sure.
that New York like Sisters of the
Colleen
Dragon,
Wing,
Colleen
yeah,
Wing,
Night,
yeah, and then the girls in San Francisco. Like I like that idea that is that's a version that Marvel is working with at this moment in time, like figuring out how are we moving forward with like women in comics. But yeah, and private investigator seems to be a bit of a trope at the moment,
totally.
which makes an ideal hideout for a band of outcast, occasionally outlaw mutant heroes.
Hi, Aurora. Hey, everyone. Storm's home. Like my outfit? Is it okay for a date?
Kitty Pryde, you've got to be kidding.
Give me a break, Lindsay. You said you loved it.
I lied. Date with whom, young lady?
Me.
David Ishima.
I hope you don't mind. I have tickets for Lila Cheney's gig at the Chi-Chi Club. Since Jessica's working on a case, as usual, thought Kitty'd like to go instead. You betcha, Tiger. I'll behave myself. Scout's honor. And make sure she's home safe and sound at a reasonable hour. No, you won't.
Yes, she will.
You trying to get me into trouble, Miss Pride? Wouldn't you like to know, Mr. Ishima?
If my hair were not already silver, that child. Now, just for argument's sake, how old do you think David Ishima is?
Let's. Well, by the way, he's rocking that trench coat and open tank tee. I'm gonna say 28.
All right, and he is someone obviously in Jessica Drew's life, and she is a private investigator, superhero.
Mm-hmm.
You know, late 20s, maybe 30. So let's put him around, around that age as well. And Kitty is what, 16?
Well, I mean, I think yes. Although, depending on what issue, it is, she's 18, but let's say 16.
Okay, even if we say 18, the fact that she's like, no, we're going on a date, old man. Like we're getting it on. Like this is a thing.
Yeah.
We're going to break some rules today. It's going to be some taboo action. Yeah, it's funny.
Yeah. And who do we know anything more about this character, David, aside from that he is a part of Jessica Drew's life?
This is my first time dealing with this character. Chuck says, look, Jason, it was the 80s. It was a very confusing time. And Michael adds the important truth. Older than Colossus.
That's true.
All true. All true. There you go.
Yeah.
No, I don't know any of these San Francisco characters. I never read Spider-Woman.
Right.
This is my one and only time. Is San Fran really ready for that kid? She seems far happier here than in New York. We all have been. Perhaps that is a good omen for the X-Men's future. I hope so. And don't worry about David. He's a perfect gentleman. Nice. That was good. Glad that was there. You missed dinner. It smells delicious. But I am not hungry. Here's the last of the dishes, Lindsay.
Don't drop anything, show off.
Never happened, Rogue. I've carried lots heavier loads than this.
Famous last words, Rachel, hon. We got a postcard from Cyclops X, folks. Really ancient postmark. He's all well with his family, Rogue. Seems so, Pete. Madeline wrote this. It's a photo card of the Summers clan. Her, Scott, and the Rugrat. Boy, is that kid gonna stay that ugly his entire life? Nice house. Madeline suggests since the X-Men are on the West Coast, we zip north to Alaska for a visit. What do y'all say, people? Sounds like a great idea.
No, I can't. It's too soon. I can't face Scott yet. I'm not ready to meet my father. Oh, Rogue! Look what you made me do.
So next time, sugar, use your hands. Anything broken? Only the furniture. Red shirt packs a wallow. How fortunate. You are virtually invulnerable. Черт, черт возьми.
I love it.
Rachel's throwing a tantrum. Oh, that's Rachel. Sorry. Rachel's throwing a tantrum. Her telekinetic powers flaring out of control.
Down, Lindsay. Stay behind me. Hey, ouch. Rachel, stop.
Cut it out, girl. You got no call to wreck Miss McCaig's kitchen.
Shut up. Leave me alone. You don't understand. None of you understand.
And you can't keep running and hiding. You live in a lie, Ray, and it's tearing you apart. You have to tell Scott who you are and where you come from.
I can't.
It's the only way you can make peace with your ghosts. And that's what I did the night we faced the Beyonder. I came to terms with what I'd done to Carol Danvers. I accepted as a part of her that always be a part of me. I finally put my demons to rest, hun. It's hard, but you ever going to live with yourself, you got to do the same.
So I've been watching Stranger Things again with my daughter, to get sort of caught up. She never watched it before. And, anyway, before the next season gets made or even comes out, we're all caught up over the summer. And there's so much of Rachel Summers and Jean Grey in the character of 11. Especially once she starts, what season there they go to the mall and she kind of gets some contemporary clothes. The idea of her with like suspenders and the not parachute pants necessarily, but the baggier pants, and her having a tantrum and like losing control of her telekinetic powers. There's just so much like angsty coming of age X-Men stuff in that show, and so much the connection with Rachel here. It really reminds me of it. And now while we're doing this, I can't help but think of course, as I call her Billy Bobby Brown.
Billy Bobby Brown.
No, Billy Bobby Brown. That's
Billy Bobby Brown.
Makes my daughter upset every time. So I can't help but think of her as playing Rachel. That's where my head is. Oh, dude. Madeline says, you gotta see the baby. Yes, thank you, David. TWA Flight 707. 3 hours outbound from London, en route over the North Pole to Los Angeles. With dinner served and the movie running, senior attendant Amanda Sefton at last has a few precious moments to herself. Claremont, what is the movie? We need to know. Do you want to read Amanda Sefton or do you want me to do it?
You did it in the past. You can do it.
No word from Kurt. I phoned from Heathrow, but all I got was his answering machine. I've been calling all week. Is he ignoring me? Are we finished? Or something happened? There's so much tearing at him. It's made him shut me completely out of his life. He wonders who he truly is and where he comes from. And resents me because he thinks I know more than I do and won't tell. And you'd think all this would be playing out in an X-Men comic that Chris Claremont is writing, but it never happened. See last episode of Previously in X-Men. He's lost faith in everything. In his God, also known as God, himself as a man, and as an X-Man.
In his God, Clue.
I tried to help, but he drove me away. He even accused me of using my magical powers to make him love me, which I totally did. I never realized till then how simple words could hurt.
Amanda, you okay? Sweetheart, you're crying.
Onions in the entree.
Uh-huh.
Hey, Connie, I've been worse, and I'll get better.
Not to worry, girl. Oh, that's right, I guess.
Not to worry, girl. I'm indestructible.
That creep better be worth it.
Once upon a time, he was.
It also goes without saying that like at least anytime there's a flight attendant, one needs to be called Connie.
Really?
I don't know. It just feels like that's a common. maybe I'm projecting, but it does feel like Connie shows up. I don't know why. There.
Now I'm looking at these. When you flip the page, you'll see some comic book stores.
Ooh.
Marvel Supermart. I wonder if any of these are still there. Of course, Jeppy's Comic World Security. What?
Mhm.
That I'm guessing that is it Steve Jeppy, the one who is Diamond is him.
Oh, is that who that is? Okay.
Yeah.
I like the place called Exciting Times.
Well, it's exciting. Yeah, for sure.
Is that-
Island Fantasy in Victoria, BC.
Oh yeah, there you go. BC shout out.
I would tell you, every time I saw one of these kinds of ads, I looked for, Silver Snail or something.
Sure.
Something from Toronto.
They ever show up?
I don't remember.
Okay.
I just remember feeling that I wasn't being represented in this ad. Anyway, San Francisco. Did you drove or did you flew? And by the way, you have to understand how hard it is for me not to make that joke every single time. If you haven't watched the character of Sid Dithers on SCTV, Eugene Levy plays a very, very old Yiddish-speaking man. And for some reason, he always is asking about San Francisco. Did you drove or did you flew? It's a joke that happens in my family all the time. Anyway.
Nice. The culture was great, David. I had a wonderful time. Hey, is this street really haunted? Buildings flanking mine are for sale. People buy them, move in, but they never stay. They always leave in a hurry. Give me a break. Would this face lie? You ever see the ghosts? So far, I've been lucky. I don't believe a word.
So most artists would spend their lines on rendering the environment from an architectural point of view, whereas these guys are like, let's draw the foggy soup. And I prefer this so much, I have to be honest. Anyway.
I like it. Suit yourself, kitty. Just be careful which wall you walk through. The street. Earthquake. No, look. Nothing's happened to the houses. They aren't shaking. It's just us. The ground sweeping us forward like a tidal wave. Or an avalanche. David, hold tight to my hand and take a deep breath. What? I phase us through the street like floating underwater to let the wave pass by. This isn't a natural occurrence, is it? Nope. I think the X-Men are under attack. Sorry. Oh my gosh, David, the wave's heading for your house!
Crash.
Something hit the place next door. I heard the scream. Bush moi.
Some form of energy web.
We're caught like flies.
I sense hostile thoughts. 5 all told. And Kitty's as well. She's all right.
Oh, I think I'm Spiral. Poor dear. So strong, so proud, so tangled, so trapped. Bind them tight, woman spider.
I know my job, Spiral. She enhanced my powers so I could catch the X-Men from a distance. But it also makes me more vulnerable. They're scared. They won't escape.
Wanna bet, sugar? If this sucker's tangible, Colossus, we can hold on to it. And perhaps tear it apart.
Few beings on Earth can match Rogue's and Colossus' strength, and few constructs stand against them, as Spider-Woman quickly discovers to her dismay. The web she casts is psionic, a creation of her thoughts, and its sudden violent discorporation strikes her like a physical blow. There's a flash of light on the porch and in her mind, a scream of agony, and then blessed oblivion. Which, by the way, when someone says blessed oblivion, I kind of interpret that as them being dead. But
that's fair.
But she's not.
That's fair. Cretinous, overconfident cow. let this be a lesson to you. We are Freedom Force X-Men, and our mission is to place you under arrest. Resist us at your peril.
No, we can't let ourselves be taken. Once we're in the government's hands, they'll never let us go. And it's the shortest of journeys from prison to a death camp. Ah!
So much courage, so much power, so little skill. So consumed with righteous rage, you never noticed me dancing a spell to turn your attack back upon you. Yours is a life rich with time, girl. If I stole it, I could remain young and vital almost forever. But as one of the Freedom Force, I must play by their rules and spare you for the moment.
Okay, so she is from Mojo World. She's a sorceress. She has 6 arms or 8 limbs. She does a dance to cast spells.
Yeah.
And she has a body shop that can... Okay.
Yeah, right. That's the last issue, sure.
Just trying to understand all the things that is Spiral.
Right.
And she's fascinating. Like she seems to really be coming out of someone else's imagination. She doesn't fit the Marvel thing at all in terms of, I don't know. She's totally odd. I actually have my Spiral action figure here, and she's decked out with weapons like crazy.
Like swords, right?
She has in her hands 5 swords and an axe.
Okay.
But in this issue, she is all about casting the spells.
Magic dancing, yeah.
Yes. And the action figure is like baby blue.
Yes. Yeah, that's from the series, right? That's from the 90s series?
Yeah, it was on like those 90s retro cards.
Yeah,
actually, David Cutler is the one who physically picked this one up for me. We were at a toy show, and he saw this figure on the floor, and he doubled back to pick it up for me. So thanks again, David. It's a phenomenal figure. I am perplexed by it. David says, don't get me wrong, I enjoy this, but it's incredible to me that X-Men sustained their popularity through all this. We're a long way out from the Dark Phoenix. Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed. And that's worth inquiring, which is maybe what we're doing. All right. So we're on to Pyro here.
And of course, we've now had a film, although apparently, albeit very briefly, appearance of Jessica Carpenter's Spider-Woman.
True.
In Madam Web movie, which I've not seen, but I know that she shows up in the costume briefly, from what I understand.
Right. I have not seen it either.
Yeah. There you go.
Matters to You says, I tend to associate Spiral with Mojo. Yeah, for me, she's, because I read this first, she's part of Freedom Force. And they're all wearing their Freedom Force costumes, right? Like Pyro's got the FF and that, particular uniform, and even Avalanche does too.
Gosh, I don't like those Freedom Force outfits.
Yeah, you do.
No, I don't. Avalanche, you great thumb. Look what you've done. Good guys don't make messes. We clean them up. You, Flames, come here. Just take care of the blaze. Like your else no one was in the cars of the house. We're our new career as heroes will be done before probably begun. No sensation quite like this. Flames sliding across my skin, rolling through my heart. Pyro plays with fire, folks. But he never gets burnt. Not too shabby, eh, Storm? You're the weather witch. Top this, if you can, if you dare.
I would love to accept the braggart's challenge, but I no longer possess my mutant abilities. Rachel, can you hear my thoughts? Are you all right? She must be unconscious. Foolish child, why did you attack so recklessly? Your psionic powers are too valuable to be wasted.
It's raining.
The intense heat of Pyro's Firebird is interacting with the much cooler fog to create a freak downpour. Perhaps I can turn this coincidence to our advantage. Your wish is granted, Pyro. Your paltry creation has not a prayer against my elemental fury. Until he realizes that I am bluffing. Goddess, I'm flying. Don't be scared, Storm. Rachel? I'm not unconscious, just playing possum, as so many characters in Claremont's comics do.
Yep.
My telekinetic power is lifting you up. If only I could do this myself. A focused microburst monsoon would extinguish Pyro's flames instantly, beyond all hope of reignition. You were warned, villain. Now what, bright boy?
How the heck should I know? Mystique's the boss. We never should have had time for this Kyber without her. Naughty, hot stuff. I got the feeling Mystique won't much applaud your initiative, especially when we whump y'all. Amateurs, must I do everything? Blob, he appeared out of nowhere. Too close to... Bah!
So we see her now, like there's a web emanating from her, as if she's, again, dancing to cast a spell.
Mm-hmm.
But there's, again, this like spider thing with her. You know, she has 8 limbs. I know 6 arms, 2 legs, 8 limbs. She's talked about like tangled, and she's created this little web here again. There's a spider theme to her too in some strange way. And her helmet almost looks like it would be those, I don't know what you call the pieces in the front of a spider's head.
Oh, yeah. I hear what you're saying.
Anyway.
Yeah. Wow. She gets thrown through 3 houses. The Dark One soars and seemingly wields the storm's fury, and I sense no energy or aura about her. Could it be she's merely playing a part? Pretending to be a star?
Storm!
Storm's fallen. Stay here, David. The heck I will. You're only human. You'll just be in the way. Oh, that's Kitty. Sorry. I've got to reach Aurora.
Her phasing power allows Shadowcat to literally run on air, as if it was solid ground, and racing as fast as she can into the sky.
Carter, she's built up too much momentum. I can't hold us. No problem. I'll phase us into the ground. I've got to find an open space, though, fast. I don't know if Burrow took a breath. It's as easy to suffocate down here as drown underwater.
Just good cartooning here. You know,
Yeah.
Shadowcat looks like her pose is in control, and Aurora, with her legs all akimbo, she looks like she is out of control. Just little tiny figures, again, doing part of the storytelling. It's good. Good.
Burrow is resisting the rain. Will he fare so well, I wonder, against a concentrated blast of water from this hydrant?
Nice try, Leadhead. But nails to my pals. You gotta get through me first. And that can't be done.
Using teamwork. The blow blocked my spray, allowing Pyro to counter with a fireball. Oh! Pyro transformed the water to steam and fused the hydrant shut. Avalanche! He's created a land wave to bury me.
I never had so much fun. You ex-chumps have given me a whole lot of grief in the past. I'm gonna love returning it with interest. And what makes this caper a real hoot is the fact that we're the heroes. You clowns are the crooks. Boy, hey!
Perhaps the blob cannot be moved if it does not wish so. But the ground he stands upon can. Rogue, highball to you. Gotcha, partner. Happy landing, fat boy.
A couple of miles away, by the Golden Gate Bridge, a
That
whole
woman
bunch
in
of
black.
children die.
Yeah, right. That woman in black, David. She called herself Spider Woman. Is that Kitty or is that the?
That is Jessica Drew.
Is that right? Oh, okay. She called herself Spider Woman. Who does she think she is? Stealing my old identity. Who are you, lady? Where do you come from? What am I doing? I ran instinctively trying to knock her with a venom blast. I can't do that anymore.
I'm a federal officer. My colleagues and I are bringing in these fugitive felons to justice. And that's all the explanation you're going to get. Unless you like to join them in prison.
Once, I'd been more than a match for her, but I've no superpowers. I'm as vulnerable as Storm. They've grabbed Jessica. Look, up by the roof. That's Mrs. McCabe. Colossus, Shadowcat, you handle the rescue.
Help! Someone, anyone! Help!
I'll cover your backs.
With the slightest touch of her bare skin to another's, Rogue absorbs that person's psyche and physical skills. Usually, Rogue's personality remains dominant, but this time is different. As Spiral drops unconscious, Rogue howls like a lost soul.
Silly girl. Spiral was born dancing through minds as through life. Stolen from my hateful, rightful form I may be, but far from helpless.
Meanwhile, simultaneously,
This would be fun if the stakes weren't so high. Is that Rogue screaming? Something's awful's happening. Lindsay, let go. Drop onto me. I'll airwalk us both to the street. What were you doing up there anyway?
my cat was on the roof. I had to save her.
Oh no, Rogue's been transformed. She switched sides. Hope. You made your last move, Storm. Game, set, and match to us.
These civilians are under control, Pyro. There'll be no more trouble.
And neither shall the littlest, lastest X-Men. Bid farewell, baby cat, to all 9 of your misbegotten lives.
Before Kitty can react, she finds herself frozen in her tracks, her body phasing in place like an image smeared along a sheet of paper, almost to the point where part of her loses physical cohesion and dissipates into nothingness. The effect is blessedly transitory, but Kitty doesn't notice. She's barely aware she's alive.
I don't believe it. Lindsay, the X-Men are beaten.
We won! Way to go, Freedom Force!
What is Rogue doing? The psyche power transferal is temporary, but if she touches Spiral again, it could become permanent. Rogue, no! You must stop! You must not! Stop!
Too late, mutant. The youngling's life and soul are. What? Police?
That picture where Kitty is being smeared across the page, it reminds me of maybe what Bill Sienkiewicz would have done under these conditions, like with these tools. You know, him being such a more avant-garde and experimental artist. Very cool.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me.
Was this a private party, or may anyone join it? Private? Tough. I'm Lieutenant Morrow. We're the law. You're in trouble. Words with little meaning, less power. Glory, I myself again. Witch, I'll have your heart, Spiral. You tried once, Rogue. This time you might not be so lucky. Let it ride, Rogue. For all our sakes. Hold your temper. Okay, Jess, I get the message. Yo, Spiral later. That's a promise. One I'll gladly hold you to, sugar.
Lieutenant, Freedom Force's assignment is to take these mutants into custody.
Never heard of your assignment. I assume you have a warrant?
We're feds. We don't need one.
Guess again, Tubbo. The X-Men have committed no crimes in San Francisco. Quite the contrary. They're civic heroes. On the other hand, Blob, you, Pyro, and Avalanche are posted felons.
We've been pardoned. Check with the White House. They'll set you straight.
Fine. I'll dial the White House right now. You provide appropriate documentation. We'll proceed from there. No other way.
So her name is spelled Morel on this page.
Yeah.
I checked on her introduction before, and it's Moral. It's only one
Morel.
L. Okay. Yeah, this one is with the double L is Morel. You know,
Yeah, totally. I love how a local police officer is throwing it out at the federal authorities, by the way.
Well, don't forget there are also known villains.
Sure, but this idea, it's like, I'll check in with the White House to clear your story. you will? Okay.
Style, or Style, Dakota North. So the that series looked to me, as a kid, as the least interesting thing that there could possibly be in a comic book.
Sure.
And now I look at that, and I'm like, oh, that art is awesome. I want to
Yeah.
know everything.
Right.
Yeah. 11-year-old me versus 49-year-old me.
Sure.
I forget off the top of my head who this artist is. Geez, he's super loose with his shapes and characters. And I know him from an issue of G.I. Joe, I think, but I've just forgotten his name. Maybe someone in the chat knows. And in Dakota
Artist
North,
Tony
we can
Salmons.
only waste our time. Tony Salmons, yeah.
Tony
Salmons.
Salmons.
Thank you. Yeah, man.
There you go.
He does some really interesting stuff that did not appeal to me as a kid at all.
Sure.
You win this round, honey bunch. But if you know what's good for you, those muties better be here when we come back.
What a
mess. We're sorry, Lieutenant, but I don't think it's Kitty.
Yeah.
I think it's Kitty.
Yeah. We're sorry, Lieutenant, but it wasn't the X-Men's fault. I know, youngster. Not that it matters. The city owes you a lot. I think this is where we balance those scales a little. Get my drift, Storm?
When Freedom Force returns, Bree, we shall be long gone. I wish we could stay to repair the damage, Jessica.
A check will do nicely. Thank you. Being run out of town like this, it isn't fair. You didn't do anything wrong. I hate it too, kiddo.
I nearly died tonight. Or worse, got hauled off to prison. I couldn't have endured that. I have done anything to escape. Even taken my own life. Holy smokes. If worst had come to worst, I'd never had seen Scott or Madeline or my baby brother again. Rogue's right. Some things have to be confronted. Or what's the use of living? It's past time I had laid my ghosts to rest. My world may be dead, but I live. I better start getting used to that by visiting Cyclops and telling him he has a grown daughter. San Francisco Memorial Hospital.
Trauma team on the double.
Multiple gunshot wounds.
Notify surgery.
And the blood bank.
Who is she?
No ID.
Lister is Jane Doe.
She got a chance, Doc?
It's a miracle she made it this far.
We'll do our best, but I doubt she'll last the night.
Oh. Okay. It's totally seemingly random, but I'm sure it means something.
Yeah,
Something.
Yeah, I don't know what to say.
Yeah.
Across the continent, earlier this same evening, another of the X-Men, Nightcrawler, bids farewell to a young lady whose life he recently saved. Indiana Wagner, must you always play a part, Kurt?
I grew up in a circus, Judith. Performing is in my nature. Besides, with my looks, a disguise makes life much simpler.
I like your looks.
As like your taste in men, Your Highness.
Go on, make fun. I still can't believe this is happening. One day I'm plain old ordinary Judith Rassendill. The next, heir to a European throne. It's too much like a fairy tale.
Let's hope so. They always had happy endings. If ever you need me, Judas, I'm a phone call away.
Terrific. My watchdogs are growling. Time to go.
Take care, Princess. And don't worry, true heroes never fail.
This isn't a game, Nightcrawler. No matter how hard you try to make it so, how much crazier can things get? I'm the one who could be murdered at any moment. Yet you're the one I feel sorry for.
Why did you say that, silly girl? I'm in my element. A beauteous damsel by distress to protect. Arch villains to hunt down, confound, and trounce. Well nigh impossible odds to overcome. All by my lonesome. Sorry for me, Judas? Ridiculous. I couldn't be happier.
Next issue, Goats.
You know
And
what?
then-
She's just. What's
go
that?
ahead. No,
Oh, no,
no, go ahead. You
Oh,
talk.
she's just plain old, ordinary heir to European throne. You know, she
Yep.
puts her pants on one leg at a time. So the difference is her pants are made of solid gold.
Yes,
Yes.
that is true. I'm looking something up. Something important, something relevant. Yeah. Is it maybe not good to say? Shoot, I'm assuming it's him. But if you look on that letters page, the first letter
Yeah. Oh,
is from.
Is it that? Is it that, David? Is it?
Why not?
Why couldn't it be? David Finch,
So-
Canadian artist David Finch.
It's Canadian artist David Finch. So it says he's in Manitoba.
Yep.
And I don't know where he's from. I'm looking it up on Wikipedia. I know he lives in Ontario now. I do not know where he's
from
actually
Brandon?
from before that. But next time we're at a convention with him,
Yes.
or we speak to someone else who knows him, we'll find out if he is from Manitoba or lived there at least in 1986.
Home of the Bren Wheat Kings.
Yes.
Yeah, the hockey team. Yeah.
That's pretty funny that I love when there's letters from people who we know through comics.
Sure. And it happens enough, right?
Yeah.
Happens
Yeah,
enough.
yeah. Someone I'm sure has made a zine of all the different kind of famous people who have put letters in a comic book. There's also Don Henley. No, sorry, that's Bill Henley. Not Don Henley from the Eagles. I thought maybe it might be.
Oh, that'd be great for Don Henley.
Yeah. There you go. X-Men 206, bro.
X-Men 206.
So that is the end of that Nightcrawler thing. There's not going to be any more to it. I don't know who that woman in the emergency room was, but I have a hunch who it is.
Okay.
But there's no indication in this issue.
No.
Yeah. Crazy.
Wow.
Yeah. So, what's up with you, buddy?
I mean, that was okay. That was okay.
Yeah,
They always throw down with that Brotherhood, team, and I mean the trio of Blob, Pyro, and Avalanche are just such doofuses.
yeah.
I mean, they got powers, but they're so
You just get a sense if the X-Men took 1 minute of just a plan, they would just like wipe them.
right. Totally.
And Wolverine should just slice that guy's throat. Just all three of them. Just
All of them. What? Run up and right.
like Nightcrawler, teleport, slice.
Yeah,
Done.
slice. We saw it work to
Finish.
beautiful effect on X-Men 97. Teleport, slice,
Yes.
teleport, slice.
I also don't know if I care about the Blob power set. About can he be lifted from the ground underneath? It seems like semantics at that point.
Yeah.
Maybe the ground would move and he would just stay put.
Yeah.
I don't know. There was once, maybe it's his first appearance, actually, I think, way back. I don't know who was lifting him up. But a character was lifting up the Blob, and like the earth moved up with him as he's being lifted. It was the Hulk or the Thing. These powers,
Gravitational force.
I don't know. Who knows? It doesn't really matter.
That's true. It doesn't.
But they just go underground and lift him up. Okay, fine. It seems again just convenient for the plot, right?
Mm-hmm.
Look at all those weapons. This is a
Spike.
very different spiral than the one we just encountered.
Yes, it is.
But it's the exact same costume, just blue and white. And I wonder if they'll make one in orange to match like Freedom Force. But I kind of hope they don't make figures of these costumes.
I don't think they look good at all. So,
John Romita Jr. in costumes are not a match made in heaven. Right? Yeah. It's not him at his best.
mm-hmm.
But when he does throw that fastball, those, there are images in this of single characters that are just.
Oh yeah,
amazing.
and there's always a great, Blob, throws or hits Rogue, and it's a great like arm bar, and she goes flying like a rocket.
Did you watch Whose Line when it was on a show when it was on?
I did.
So welcome to Whose Mutant Is That Anyway, where everything's made up and Blob's powers don't matter. there you go. That's well done, David. I'm just going to show this guy again because it's crazy that this came out, this year, and now Casper's
So what line is that part of?
Marvel Legends.
Okay,
It's another Wolverine.
It's another but it was
like we've just been getting so many, and each one is like on a new body again. This one has custom tooling because they've added these non-Cassaday squares that I think, or maybe even Romita Jr. might have added when he was on the Wolverine solo series during the Enemy of the State run. He added those those blocks.
There's a great Romita Jr. I like that story.
I love that one. It's Mark Miller and Romita Jr. It's bonkers. But I've reread that one I don't know how many times. It's such a fun blockbuster romp for me. I really enjoy it. I don't know if it's good, like if it but I really enjoy it. But yeah, this is like another new Wolverine, and it's not just paint apps on all these things. There's piping, so there's unique sculpting to just this figure. You can't reuse this unless you just change the colors a little bit, which is exciting and odd because we just got a new Wolverine for the X97 buck, and there's another new one coming in the brown suit. So I'm like, all right, I'm just selling all my old ones. We're hopefully Toying Around does the Toying Around thing again in first week of April, and I can just sell off like all my Marvel Legends that are like obsolete. It's good. Last time I sold a ton. I mean, hundreds of dollars worth. Oh, yeah. So I'm now just like I'm sorting out my Legends hardcore on a weekly basis. So I got to get rid of all the ones that are becoming obsolete or that I think are going to be obsolete soon. But this one is beautiful. It is beautiful. Cool. Matters to You says Romita Jr. is good for a splash page. I think he's also a really good, clear storyteller. I just think he gets bogged down in X-Men with too many characters to have to draw. Because other series he does, like he'll, again, throw that fastball more often. But he just is that guy who is now in that era where he's his father's son. So he is work ethic. He is all about the factory system. And that is part of his pride, is that he's a guy who can get the comics done on time. And then he's working in the same company on the same title as Barry Windsor Smith and Arthur Adams, who are guys that are doing 1 page a week. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So he's doing 3 pages a day. They're doing 1 page a week. I'm exaggerating maybe a little bit one way or the other, but they're not playing the same game.
Yeah.
So when Romita does something great, it's because he figures out how to be economic and then impactful, where the other guys are doing amazing, beautiful rendering that is like elevating, maybe the medium, or the genre, elevating the genre, not the medium, but the genre. But a lot of it's gratuitous, and I love it. Don't get me wrong.
Right.
It's so interesting to see these different things. And again, we're down to the last couple issues of Romita, and then he's on to bigger and better things. He's going to be off to do
what's it called again?
Starbrand.
Starbrand.
Yeah, and then he's going to have to bounce back.
Starbrand.
After that's going to fall apart pretty quick. I think his next thing after that might be he bounces back over to Daredevil. I think.
Okay.
Yeah, we will talk more about that later. Chris, where are you going to be on Saturday?
Here in Guelph, Ontario. Specifically at the Guelph Comics Jam. Whoa!
Yes.
Which is hosted by one of our favorite stores, The Dragon, here in Guelph, an Eisner-winning retail store and all-around great place for comics and fan culture and all excellent things like that. And so we've been coming here for 5 years or so. It's obviously super hyper local for me, which is great. Jason always makes the trip. And
walking distance.
It's walking distance. That's right, from my place. And it's a really excellent comics hang. The store is able to bring in a ton of incredible creators every year, I think, which is a testament, I think, to its presence in the community and how it's really been a champion of people as they start their careers. So all to say, there's a great lineup. Hell, if you are looking for a good comics, a good free comic show, meet a bunch of creators, Saturday, Guelph Comics Jam. It's going to be fun.
I got a message yesterday from one of our readers who was really excited to meet Jeff Lemire and get some stuff signed. And I was like, alarm bell. That was last year.
That was last year.
And he said, no, I saw it on the website like this week. And so I was like, send me the link. And I looked, and there is a Guelph Comic-Con page that is like that posts about the Guelph Comics Jam each year. They post about it, and the articles are just one on top of each other. So if you just read through what's happening on Saturday and you keep reading, it's now like the 2023 lineup. So it just bled. There's one line of text denoting the two different things, but easy to misinterpret that Mr. Jeff Lemire is going to be there. He is not supposed to be there.
No, he's not. But if it's going to help that guy out, it won't. But if it might, I have been told that when I put on a vinyl shirt and I whip my glasses on, I could pass for Lemire. I'm in the space. I'm in the Lemire space, so I could just say I am and just sign the copies.
True, and my initials are JL.
Right. So between the two of us, we got Lemire. That's it.
Got it. We can do this.
We can do this.
Yeah, big time. So, that's what our new job is. We are going to be Jeff Lemire, the two of us.
We are going to be showing up at show at Con.
All right. So next issue, we are going to be obviously reading 207. It is that I could pull out of the box, but it's just under the table. Don't bother. The awesome solo, maybe the best Romita cover of all time in X-Men. It is a solo Wolverine shot of him in the brown suit, pulling claws out and taking a big swing. I can't do it with the action figure because he won't bend that much. But he's kind of like he's in like
I have no idea what it looks like until look at that.
Yeah, it's Wolverine's mouth is open. He's like
and he's
awesome.
He's tearing the actual comic page.
Yes, he's slicing right through it. It's my favorite.
Badass.
My favorite Romita X-Men cover, I think. Okay. So that'll be next week, which is going to be tons of fun. So come back for that one. In the meantime, please hit like, subscribe to the channel, throw a comment, not just in the chat, the live chat, if you're here when we're performing and recording this, but if you're watching it on the replay, throw a comment. Let us know if you enjoyed or what issue you're looking forward to, or something about maybe Romita's art or your take on Freedom Force costumes, whatever it is you want to do. We're happy to hear from you for sure.
And I'd like to shout out some new subscribers too. Just we're up to 351 now. 351. Keep going up. Thank you.
On our way. Go ahead.
Chris Creative, Thomas Navin, and Robert Haynes. Thank you for subscribing to the channel.
There you go. Matt says, I don't have that issue, so I'm looking forward to it. Yeah, man. If you have it or don't have it.
And Mass, you're a Guelph guy. Are we going to see you on Saturday? I really hope we do. Oh, no.
You said last time you can't come.
All right. We'll get you. Hey, I did see you're at Wayside Creator Con with us as well, late October. So you get to hang that. And that's in a bar. Man. Sorry, that's in a brewery. Breweries. Comic shows in breweries.
There's the poster.
What?
There's the poster for
Sneak Peek.
For Wayside Creative Con. Yeah, man. There's Storm with the Mohawk.
Punk Storm.
Wolverine's right there. A lot of crazy stuff on this one. We'll get to that later. The color version will be coming out soon. But anyway, wild. Got to draw Hellboy, man.
Amazing. Fun.
Okay. Anything else we got to do? Talk?
Aside from those two shows, are also in Whitby beginning of October for Whitby FanCon, and we are at Mississauga in about mid-November for Mississauga Comic Expo. So we're out and about.
Yeah,
in the Southwestern Ontario, Greater Toronto area.
Busy 2 months. Yeah. Oh, and if you're in Etobicoke on Friday night, my band is playing.
Really?
Yeah. You know how it goes sometimes. Like whenever there's something comics related, the guys in the band be like, "Hey, you got a chance to play a show the night before. You have to be up at 7 a.m.
Of course.
So there was we're playing at the Long Branch Social Club or something like that.
Sure.
I don't even know what it's called. Something way out in Etobicoke near Browns Line and Lakeshore.
Okay.
But I got to do it. Got to rock and roll. Got to rock and roll. That's the way it goes. And don't forget the Mountain Music Festival, March 14th to 18th. Yeah, we'll be there.
Be there.
Make sure you bring your water and a chair. All right. Thank you, David. This is actually now the only reason that I ever want to do this show is so that David will come on and make that joke.
Mountain Man Festival. March 14th, 18th. We're going to get there around episode whatever, and it'll be like, did we see you at the Mountain?
You know what we should do? When we get to that week, we should
live
just
stream it.
The whole episode is just us at the Mountain Music Festival. And we've prepared like a whole bunch of songs in the background, and like we'll just green screen that we're at a thing, and we'll just be talking as if we're at a Mountain Music Festival and singing along and hanging out.
That works.
It works for me. Yeah, it's a great idea. Best idea I've had all day. And that brings us to the end of another episode of Previously in X-Men. Thank you to my good buddy, writer of Group of Seven Comics and Peregrines, Chris Sanagan. You can find out more about our comics and upcoming appearances at groupofsevencomics.ca. Of course, that is the number 7. And follow us at Group of Seven Comics on social media. Please click like, subscribe. Tell us your take on X-Men comics in the comments below. Stay Xy.
Stay Xy.
Thanks, bub.
For God's sake, stay Xy.
Mwah.
That God is Cluthy, by the way.
You know, we were one person short tonight, like notably short. And I think I know what she's watching.
Oh, okay.
She's watching the debate. I'm pretty sure. We'll hear back. I'm sure we'll hear back. All right. Everyone enjoy. Take care.